Welcome, everyone. Noah here on the Dynamics Weekly newsletter and podcast. This is a series of podcasts that we're doing lately about Dynamics Communities Community Summit, which is scheduled for October 19th through the 23rd in Orlando, Florida. We'll be talking with Academy class and session presenters leading up to the conference. And today we have Stephanie Lavinskas with us. Stephanie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. How are you?
Doing fine. You and I have been chatting before we started this recording about, I'm dialing in from Florida, you're dialing in from Montreal, and you're having, even though it's June already, you're having horrible winter weather right now.
We're used to it. It's just been like a continuation of fall, I guess. But I was at my daughter's soccer game yesterday, or no, Sunday, it's already Tuesday. And I was wearing a fleece blanket and my winter coat and a hot cup of tea. And it was just it is so uncharacteristic for this time of year. I want to say that it's probably the coldest on record that I can ever remember. So we're just dying for some sunshine.
Well, hey, you'll have plenty of that in October down at Summit for
Yes.
Orlando, I'm sure. Because it's very hot down here, very humid. Have you been to Florida before?
Yeah, I was actually there in April. We went to Disney
Okay,
World with the
awesome.
kids. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yep. I'm a big Disney fan, but I haven't been there. I haven't been there this year yet, but I'll make a trip soon.
Maybe Summit. Who knows?
Summit plus Disney, yeah. So I'll
Yeah.
squeeze them both in. So speaking of Summit, that is right around the corner. It's already June. This is coming up in October. It'll be here in no time. Registration is open for registering for Summit and registering for classes. And you have a class on Sunday, October 19th. The name of it is Building a D365 Training Plan with Integrated Change Management.
Yes.
So maybe we talk about the highlights from your class. There's a whole day class, 8 to 5 o'clock.
Yeah, and I'm extremely excited about it. It's actually the first year that I knew that Academy classes existed. Last year was my first summit period, so my first experience with this. And I'm co-facilitating with a partner that I work very closely with. Her name is Alif Idem, and she has a training platform for D365. And I've used her training and we've worked so well together and we partner on so many different things. And so she brought this up to me, when the sessions had to be submitted. And I just thought it was such a great idea because in my experience, training and change management, even though, they kind of intertwine with one another, they really are the biggest challenge. And I've done about 19 different implementations, and every single one has very unique differences into the challenges around training and how you kind of adopt that within the organization and how to roll everything out and learning the ins and outs of what works best. And so we're trying to combine our forces and really put together a day where people can leave with tools and confidence to really roll out training in the proper way. Because one of the things that happens, especially on these projects, is people come in and there's this huge surge of excitement and training at the beginning. And some of these projects can go, 14, 18 months. That's a long time. If you have a huge chunk in the beginning and a huge push at the end for end user training, which they only ever give 2 weeks really in the schedule, which is not enough. So, what are you doing in between? And that's what we're really trying to create the understanding of and to teach is training is going to be a very long road, and there's so many opportunities throughout the project to train and to engage and to have people learn.
And Stephanie, this says so I see the title has D365, but
Mhm.
is it just for F&O?
Honestly, no. I mean, the thing is, I am more focused on F&O, and so is Elif. But these are types of things that are agnostic, and that's the one thing that I love about what I do. Where obviously, when I'm speaking to a client or when I'm working on a project, I'm speaking about F&O modules. I'm speaking about very, F&O processes. But when you're building a training plan, it's really a framework for not necessarily a one size fits all, but it can apply to anything. It can apply to Business Central, to CE, to Power. Like it really can be something that you can plug and play anywhere. You just have to kind of know where to tweak it. And that's what
Hmm.
we're focusing on for, for F&O because that's where our experience lies. But obviously anything can be extracted and put anywhere else.
And so focusing, for the title is 365, but it's for anything else. And also, how long have you been in the Dynamics community? You've done plenty of implementations. That has been 20 years. I don't know.
No. So I actually been since 20, I'm really bad with dates. If you ask me how long, like, how long I've been somewhere, I'll say 5 years for the rest of my life. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I know.
been
It's still that way.
since 2021 is when
Okay.
2021 was when I first had my first implementation that I was involved in. But I've done, a significant amount since then. And I worked at a company where I was overseeing, multiple implementations simultaneously globally. And so I learned from different cultures because, I was with people in Europe or people in North America, whether even Canada and the US, there's very, differences, different industries. And so you kind of get a sense for what works. And one of the biggest things with training and change management is that you have to know your audience. So a lot of the times, things that we provide, and that's why I say even for F&O, it doesn't have to be F&O, it is what you're doing. You have the toolkit, but then you have to know how to use it with the people that are in front of you. And that really is where the actual people in the project, the people in the organization help to guide you on what's going to work best. So I have, three different types of screwdrivers that I could use to put, put a screw into the wall, but only the person who has the screw knows which one you need, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Okay.
So that's kind of
Yep.
what also is unique. And for me, yeah, it's only been a couple of years that I've been in the dynamics world, and really only the last year that I've been really more involved in the community, which I kind of wish I had done way earlier, because just this last year, I have met and networked with so many valuable people, and I have learned so much myself just from all of these conversations and attending these conferences and giving talks. I've given at least, 4 or 5 talks this year, and it really kind of helps give me perspective. So I feel like even walking into this training, I have so much more to give, and it's more the experience that allows you to teach. And when it comes to training, I'm way more of a veteran to training. So I've actually been in learning and development for 15 years, and I was a certified trainer with a very large consulting firm here in Canada, doing leadership development training, soft skills training, all of these like various different things. And that was my bread and butter for the past 15 years. And change
Hmm.
management has been the last 5. And it's something that was really easy to parlay like one into the other. And I do, but D365 is so unique. Like the technology piece of training is so unique. And that's where we kind of really dig into it here, and that we will during the day, where there's all these small little pieces that you need to think about that really will help you to make your training plan very successful.
Nice.
Mhm.
And for your target audience, I would imagine it's mostly the partner channel, but maybe some end users as well that are going through implementations coming up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really useful. Obviously, partners in the sense that it's good to know what's out there and how to best serve. But I honestly even think for end users, like I said, because it's so agnostic, it's one of those things where D365 is most likely not the only change that's going on within your organization. And some of the tips that we will be providing and the tools that we'll be using, we're going to do a lot of interactive activities and a lot of things where we really want you to think out of the box. And so those are things that you can bring with you and you can use on anything. You can use it
Mhm.
on your next IT project. You can use it on your next HR project if you're rolling out, a new set of competencies. Like it really kind of can go anywhere. But so that's where it's building a skill set. So for the partners, it would be building, a tool and building an understanding. And I think for end users, it's this whole skill set of thinking with a mindset, like a training mindset and a change management mindset.
Okay. And there, you've got one co-presenter with you.
Mhm.
Do you two like? one person does the morning, the other person does the afternoon, or you just go back and forth all through the whole day?
We will go back and forth throughout the whole day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went to Summit last year in San Antonio. Did you present in San Antonio?
I did. Yeah, I presented.
Okay.
I actually, and I also was part of a panel.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the same session here you're talking about now?
No, it's different.
Okay.
Yeah. Last year I did a
All right.
customer case study with actually this partner that I was working with.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that is building a D365 training plan with integrated change management. This is a academy class, so even if people register for Summit, this is still a separate registration for the class on Sunday. So everybody should keep that in mind. Registration for Summit and for the class are both open, ready for everybody. They probably already got some people signed up for you already. I think they just opened those up pretty recently.
Yes, I think within the
Um,
last week, 2 weeks.
and yep. So, and in addition to this class, you do have a session for presentation as well. Let me jump back to that page. So for the session, you've got one very similar topic, change management made simple, preventing fatigue and securing leadership buy-in in D365 projects. That's a huge part of any deal, getting leadership buy-in is a huge part of it.
Yeah. And
So So for this one, you're gonna have the session. It's a 30-minute, 60-minute session.
it is.
Okay.
And this is actually, so this this session came from the fact that when I presented at Summit last year, I had so many questions on leadership buy-in. I think I got at least 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the fatigue as well, fatigue kind of falls into what most people like to call resistance. I like to call it just reactions and different things where again, these projects they span a very long time, and at the beginning everyone's so excited, and there's, strategies and ways to bring people into that and really get that leadership active involvement from the beginning. And you really need to know throughout the project, what are those small touch points and milestones that I need to bring my leadership back in? How are we making sure that there's open communication between the team? Because sometimes it's taken for granted that leadership is always in the room and always on meetings. And we also need to make sure that we're involving them in the right way and making sure that we use them in the right way that's actually going to serve our purposes to create the awareness and the excitement for all of these projects, because leadership is, and there's different levels of leadership, obviously. So you can go from executive to directors, managers, and then frontline, where those are the people that our end users or our frontline users really look up to. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where sometimes they're undervalued, where you will send out a comm at large from, like, I would never send out a comm from myself necessarily, especially if it was at large to an organization. You always need to make sure that you hone in on that one person that is their voice matters, and that people look up to
Mm-hmm.
them, and that they provide some influence. And so I'm really going to kind of go through a lot of my real life experience from past projects, where talking about in every different phase, because I've also realized, it's nice to know at the beginning phases, in that in envisioning and understanding and requirement gathering phase, what are the strategies and things that you need to do there, and really work your way through the whole timeline of a project. And even throwing in a few wrenches of, hey, like, what happens if your project is now delayed 6 months, or something happens, because there are certain things that I've experienced and I've heard where you all of a sudden get into this moment of, well, now what? And the leadership, especially, they want to know, how can I help? And so it's just really to be able to provide opportunities for people to understand and have things in their toolkit to be able to push teams and leadership through.
Nice. In this session, you will be presenting it just yourself, no co-presenters.
Yes, just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for this one, you got a presentation followed by Q&A. So everybody bring your questions with you. You're going to be there the whole week, starting that Sunday at least through
Mhm.
this session here. Will you have a booth in the expo hall?
I will not this year. Hopefully next
Okay.
year. Yeah.
For those people who want to contact you and meet up with you um, in between classes and sessions, do you have a preferred method? Like, is it LinkedIn? You want to keep in touch with everybody? You'll have the mobile app for the conference as well that everybody can use.
I,
Uh,
bu- I I would say LinkedIn, but honestly, once the mobile app gets going, in my experience, it is by far the best way to communicate. So I haven't downloaded it yet. I don't know if that's out there.
I
Um,
don't think it's out until July.
so I think that that's great. And in the meantime, between now and July, which is only a couple of weeks, but definitely LinkedIn is the best place. I'm on there all the time. I've replaced it with Instagram and Facebook, where I'd rather be scrolling and
Yeah.
learning in my downtime rather
Yeah.
than anything else. So I'm constantly on there and trying to understand and see what's new and what people are talking about. And
Yeah. I had started LinkedIn account years ago when it first like over 10 years ago, I guess. But I never really started using it heavily until this past year or so. So it is taking on a new life of its own for LinkedIn.
yeah, no, I love it.
All right. So you've been to one have you been to the Gaylord down in Orlando yet?
So I have not been there yet, but I drove by it multiple times on my way to Disney when I was there in April. And
Yep.
just funny story, we kept driving by it, and it's a huge sign when you're on the highway, so it just always caught our eye. And they're either on site or there's something just behind it that had fireworks on the days that we didn't stay at the parks for fireworks. So
Uh-huh.
we would see it coming back. And on the second to last day that we were in Florida, I said, I was like, "Oh, I wonder where I'm staying for, for Summit." Admittedly, I hadn't booked my hotel or anything yet. And I said, oh my gosh, like that's where we'll be staying. So I'm fully booked. But
Awesome.
it was just funny how I passed it all the time and we would talk about it. And then boom, that's where I was staying. So
Yep. The fireworks, it's very close to Epcot and all the Disney parks, so it's
yeah.
probably some of the Disney stuff that had the fireworks. It's a great venue, huge hotel, huge conference center. When you walk in, and you walk through the entrance past the lobby registration area, there's a huge open area with streams and bridges and
Oh
everything they have.
wow.
What I love is the turtles and the alligators. So if
Oh,
you get a chance, look for
okay.
those. They're all in the water in the atrium part, and even a big ship. I think it's a pirate ship towards the back of the atrium, and
Oh
all
my
that is
gosh.
really part of the hotel section near the
My
front.
kids will be so
There's a little
jealous.
breeze. Oh, you should bring them. Yes. And then the walkway goes from that main atrium area in the hotel to the conference center. So
Okay,
it's a really great setup they've got.
nice. No,
But
I'm
definitely, if you
very
get a
excited.
chance, look for gators.
I will. Well, that was our thing in the morning when we were there. We would just walk and look for, it was like, is that a log or is that a gator? Kind of try to
They will
point them
sneak up
out.
on you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Stephanie. Well, I'm going to wrap up unless you have some other highlights you want to mention for us.
Uh, I don't think nothing that comes top of mind, but I think that both of my sessions, whether it's the Academy course or the session that I'm going to be delivering during Summit, I do think that, there's a lot of there's a lot of value for what I'm going to be giving, and I feel as though there's a lot of space for people to learn more, especially about change management. And I think that it's one of the things on projects that is sometimes a nice to have. And so with the two sessions that I'm going to be giving, a lot of times there's not a lot of budget for this particular portion of projects. And so really what I'm
Mhm.
trying to do is one, advocate for it so that when you do start a project or you're in the middle of the project, product and you need something, you kind of maybe know, hey, like I know that if we had this, it would make things, that much easier, or it would make things like the adoption part a little bit stronger. Or if there really is no budget, hey, like I'll be able to give you some tools and some tips and tricks to bring back and to start to be that change agent on your own and start to develop and hone in on your change management skills as well, because it's a very particular mindset and it comes with holding a lot of empathy, holding a lot of, active listening. And so those are the things that I'm trying to advocate. And my sessions are, for the lack of a better word, fun. My core value is fun. If I'm not having fun, then I don't want to do it. And so I always try to incorporate different fun elements into each of my sessions. So for this one in particular, there will be a surprise element. So for those that come, and for the training, we have a few things up our sleeve as well. So just keep that in mind, where you're definitely not just going to be sitting down listening to us talk. There's going to be a lot of interactive activities and things where we really want you to walk away with a memorable experience.
Awesome. So that is fun is a very a great core value to have. We all appreciate that. So, Stephanie, thanks for joining me today. It's always great to share with our audience news about upcoming events like Summit. To all of our listeners out there, if you get a chance, please try to meet and introduce yourself to Stephanie while you're down there. It's always great to meet people in person, to tie a face to an actual person that you're working with online and emails. So look for her while you're down there at Summit, and hopefully we'll see all of you in Orlando. All right. Thanks, Stephanie. It's a great
Thanks,
call.
Noah. Thanks. Have a great day.